Thanks for watching the first off-season episode. As we get into this time, we really have to start thinking about food plots, our stand management, and our overall property management. Uriah and I wanted to take a look back at our most successful and most productive spot we called the Grove. If you remember back to last season, Uriah and I both harvested hit list bucks in the Grove. We're going to take you through how we developed the Grove into such a good spot, as much all the way back from scouting it to how we entered the plot, to where we placed our stands, and to what winds we hunted on. So stick with us these next few minutes as we take you back through the steps in the process of how we made the Grove so productive. The development of this stand site, or this area we call the Grove, began back in November of 2013. I first started hunting the farm and took Uriah hunting. He actually shot his first 2 deer right outside the Grove. Me, Uriah, and other guys hunting the farm knew that this was an area we had seen a lot of deer traffic. So just after that, Uriah and I came in, scouted the Grove. As we've mentioned in previous episodes, the Grove was just merely a grown-up pasture land with travel corridors running all the way throughout it. To confirm our thoughts, we stuck a trophy rock in here in January of 2014. As pictures began to roll in, we knew this place was going to be a great place to place a stand and a food plot. Fast forwarding to the summer of 2014, we renewed the trophy rock and set that camera right back in here. Pictures were coming in daily, almost all hours of the day. We knew this spot was going to be very productive. We then knew planting Frigid Forge Big and Beastie would keep the deer here all year. This is an interior food plot we knew was vital to our success. The original stand setup for the Grove was just merely a hay bale blind. Uriah and I moved in to hunt this area in September and realized we had no visibility and were snuck up on by some deer. Knowing that, in early October, we moved stands just above the hay bale blind over my left shoulder here. This was a great move and resulted in the harvest of the hitless buck L4D2 by Uriah. The setup of the stand was super important for 2 reasons. It allowed us to view the whole area around the Grove, not be alerted by oncoming deer. And we placed it on the southernmost part of the Grove. That way we can move in on north winds, which were typically the best winds to hunt this, without being detected. As I've mentioned before, the Grove is a kind of a ridge top surrounded by 270 degrees of bedding and cover. Now, while there was agricultural beans to the south of us, most deer avoided that and dropped below us in the north and moved to the beans. So we were able to hunt this spot very successfully. So let's break down to some of the minute details of why we chose the Grove and what makes it so good. Things that we didn't make, but also there are some things that we did make. This area is just a little bitty opening within a huge area of cover. So that's what makes it great. The deer come out and they feel very comfortable moving throughout this area. That's why we'd see pictures in even late season, if you remember back to Crabby, at 1:04 p.m. Another part that we created that worked to our advantage but also worked to my disadvantage was the actual creation and structure of the food plot. The main part of the Grove we made into a half moon. It was long and skinny, and we thought that would allow the deer to move down, and when they did get into our range, they would be well within bow range. That happened perfectly for Uriah, if you remember back to his harvest. The deer came within 35 yards, presented a great quarter away shot. However, while hunting Crabby, it did just the opposite for us. Crabby started on the other end and moved to the far end, causing me to have almost a 50-yard shot. This year, the only plans we have to change the Grove is to create the whole food plot into a big circular type food plot where deer can feed anywhere they'd like, but it will still cause them to feed towards us. The only downside to a location like this is it is so close to deer's bedding, and it is a small secluded plot. These deer in early season will come in here early in the day, and as we even saw late season, early in the day. So you have to really pick and choose the times you hunt this stand. So I want to break down to you how we hunted this stand. There was bedding, as I mentioned, 270 degrees pretty much around our stand site. However, most deer approach from the north or northwest. Knowing that any north or northwest wind was absolutely perfect for this stand. So again, we approached from the south, keeping the wind in our face as we approached the stand, and most deer moved their way up. The great thing about the grove is there was enough food on the table out here in the grove that no deer usually got downwind of us once they came into the grove. So as we end each off-season episode, we decided we think it'd be really cool to do a profile on each buck. First buck we're going to do a profile on is Lucky, and it's kind of coincidental that this is part of what we thought was his core range. Lucky's a deer that we believe will be 5 in 2015. I first encountered him in 2013 as a 3-year-old. Rattled him in a little bit south of here and elected to pass him. So moving forward, part of our grove plans, I think we're going to center around how we can harvest Lucky here. Lucky had a trend early season. He was definitely more visible. We have patterns of him coming through here and just south 50 yards where I'm standing now, called the green field, as we mentioned. Uriah actually encountered him in the green field and elected to pass. But we believe this is this deer's core area. We believe that he beds northwest of here down by a creek that we have on the property. We actually believe that our best bet at Lucky is early season. As rut went through this year, there was hardly any signs of Lucky anywhere. We don't know if he left the property. Obviously deer go chasing, but the one thing that remained constant is early and late seasons Lucky was back here in his core area in the grove. We think that either having a summer food plot here mixed with a late season food plot here, we can really hone in on Lucky. We want to thank you for watching the first off-season episode, and stick with us for other tips and tools we use to get ready for the upcoming season. We did come into our area where we're in our, dang man, I was going good. Thanks for watching the first off-season episode. As we approach these, gosh dang it, man, spot we called the Grove. Oh my gosh, man, I get that and then I forget.